I bet you that LSU Iowa game from last night's ratings are about to be absurd.
Oh, yes.
They're talking about this tournament's numbers being absurd. That'll come in later this afternoon. Now, what are the ratings? Nobody knows at this stage of streaming and who is a black box? What does that even?
Right.
What does that even mean?
It's up and to the right, though.
Everybody's up and to the right.
Uh-huh.
It's awesome. I don't know how it works, but I do love it for sports. But the team it's a fantastic watch.
It is.
To your point, and I like what she said. Like, yeah, you might be able to do it for like a quarter what we're doing, but we got you 4 quarters, the entire court, and they take them in the deep end, and it's like that. It is electrifying to watch them play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, and that is kind of like I don't want to say the down or the Achilles heel, but like they do, because they play so fast, they will turn it over every once in a while. So like they'll get on, 10-0 runs and kind of pad a lead, and then they'll let teams come back a little bit because they don't necessarily slow it down and try to just play like a half-court game. But it's very, very difficult for opposing teams to play like that the entire game. And then again, like we see you can come up with all the superlatives you want for Caitlin Clark, and we've heard them all year, but like she just continues to surpass what she like last night. They really, because as like an Iowa fan, you were worried about that a little bit because they were favorites, but obviously, everything with LSU's size and their physicality and all that kind of stuff. But you could tell from the opening tip, like she hits a 3 on the first possession. It's like, okay, she's going to dominate this game tonight, and she knows she needs to. And for her to have arguably one of the best performances of her career on the biggest stage, like it just speaks volumes to how much of a competitor is and how good she is at basketball.
What do they call it? Personality profiles, where they start to guess who a person is, like in mysteries and like, isn't that what they call personality profiles?
Right. Yeah.
From judging Caitlin Clark's personality profile, from what we know of her, last night she was going to go bananas.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right, because of what happened in the national championship. From this whole thing, from this thing, from can we call her great? She doesn't have a championship stuff.
Yeah.
Like the human that we have come to know. And now, granted, she was on SVP last night, Scott Van Pelt with Stanford Steve, and gave an incredible interview. But from everything that we've been told, from both our traveling to Iowa before this tournament tipped off, and then people that know her a little bit, and if you watch her, it's like, oh, she's a savage. Like, she is.
Absolute
she's
dog.
Peyton Manning. She's Tom Brady. She's Serena Williams. She is Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah,
whenever it comes to mentality up at the top of this entire thing, where it's like, oh, is that right? Like, that is the thing that drives that particular type of human. And there's not a lot of them. In all sports, there's not a lot of these people that exist. But that's why whenever situations arise where teammates laying on the ground, and she doesn't help her up. She gets the ball and she's going down the field. And I think the way it's phrased by one particular Twitter account, she just wanted the ball so she could go chuck up more shots. It's like, I don't even know if she knew that person was even on the ground. Like, there's a chance that she is just a complete
tunnel vision
rope zombie alien on that. And that's what it feels like. So if you think about everything that took place last year after that game where they lost, and then that girl, Van Lith, sorry about it.
It's a bad spot.
I mean, you're having a nightmare, Caitlin Clark, step back.
Nothing you can do.
And then obviously with I don't know. What am I supposed to do? That's all over the internet.
Extra tough on her last night.
Yeah, everywhere. I mean, forever, for a long time.
All of it.
I do believe when she was at Louisville last year too, there was a similar outcome against Caitlin Clark. So it's just like, Kim Mulkey knows, Haley knows, everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like, Caitlin's just different. But I think you put any human guard in her last night in that particular game. I think Caitlin's going to do that. Now, can she carry that, knowing that the championship is what's going to get hung over her head? Can she carry that, knowing? And I guess this week it could be the Page buckets, and UConn never wanted me.
Yeah, that was a dream.
UConn never wanted me.
They wanted her,
Gino
not
never
me.
showed up.
I wanted to go there. Gino says, nah, you're not good enough. Now, then in the finals, it's like, okay, now you got the South Carolina team probably.
Well, they have the opposite because Iowa's the last team to beat them. So it's kind of like,
There's storylines and grudge and chips on shoulders for both these games that we have left here. And I think the women's tournament's going to continue to do what the women's tournament has done the last 2 years, and that's deliver.
For sure.
It has delivered. If you're a sports fan, they've shown up for us.
Yeah.
So thank you to the women's March Madness. Legit.
Paige Buckets and Caitlin Clark, you could absolutely make the argument, men or women's, that is the best matchup left in college basketball. Like that entire storyline that we were just talking about, obviously, Paige Buckets being the girl coming out of high school, Caitlin Clark not being the UConn girl. But to Ty's point, like, I'm sure South Carolina's been thinking about Iowa the way Iowa was thinking about LSU for that entire last year.
And they're flying under the radar. Like South Carolina, I think South Carolina, they're the fourth
couple
team.
real close games.
Almost got
fourth team ever to make it to the Final Four undefeated. And I'm sure 2 or 3 of them probably UConn. But they're flying. All we're talking about is, Paige and Caitlin. So I'm sure, Dawn Staley is definitely, stacking those chips on her undefeated squad as well. But it's one thing on the court, and you saw X, kind of be taken over by the women's game. But obviously great performances, but then the personalities that we're getting too. Obviously, Angel Reese and Flau'jae and what's been going on.
Hey, you were a heel.
Yeah, but
you were being a heel.
Caitlin was kind of a heel too. Caitlin, big shit talker. And people, is it going too far? And now she's kind of a babyface kind of this year, but at the same time.
Her shit talk, people didn't respond.
People want her to
see
fail.
Caitlin fail.
For sure.
But I think more people wanted to see LSU fail, especially with their coach.
Twitter last night was just all Caitlin Clark love.
Yeah.
Like all.
She went for
when she
41
plays,
No, I
That's
know
hard
that,
not
we've seen people perform great and they nitpick things like it was all.
Yeah, but as soon as Caitlin, if she has one of those 2 for 9 3-point games where she's going to the rack, it'll be loud on Caitlin, which is the top of the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
This is what the top of the mountain looks like in any sport. For Angel Reese, and we saw her, I think at the upfronts, we saw her, and you're talking right after the run, and she became one of the most famous people in America after last year's March Madness and everything. So, I thought she was playing a heel character. Like she was trying to be the heel character. And then listening to it last night after they have a devastating loss. Obviously, that was very devastating in that moment, biggest moment of the year. And you lose, and Caitlin Clark has the night of her life. And obviously, everybody's going to start dunking on you on the internet. It was nice to see her be a human. It was nice to be like, yeah, Angel say, I'm a human here, as well. And it's like, well, I think you're going to learn from all this. I think she's going to be tougher, become an even better player. But we would like to say to Angel Reese, I appreciated you being a heel.
Yes.
It's not easy to be the heel.
Exactly.
Because you get a lot of bad stuff said to you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be like so we appreciate what LSU has done and how they've kind of conducted themselves and how great of a team they've been with the head coach even getting involved with, calling out journalists and this whole thing. So I've appreciated this LSU run. But that post-game press conference was unexpected. I did not expect that to go how it kind of went with how everything has been for the entire season since they won the championship.
Well, and people dunking on her, I get it. They, if they did win, absolutely, they would have been talking shit because that is what you do when you win, especially when you are playing the heel. But I don't think anyone on Twitter, or maybe less than 1% of people on Twitter, could actually tell you the emotions of losing in an Elite Eight game to go to the Final Four against the team that you beat last year after going through the year that they had. Because it really was. After the national championship, she was...
What's that going to be? 10 million people probably watched last night.
Oh,
yeah, probably.
I'd say.
I think it was 7.
The biggest women's college basketball game
ever.
Definitely, yeah. And it was the Elite Eight. The profile of both Iowa and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and LSU, because they have Flau'jae and Haley Van Lith, the girl who
it
came
ain't
over.
my fault.
But it is Angel Reese. It's Angel Reese's team. She's the face of it, and it's Caitlin Clark. She's the face of it. So, absolutely, Angel Reese took the brunt of the hey, shut up. You guys are the heels. You can't now.
Well, she didn't play for a little bit at the beginning of the season too. There was a bunch of chatter about what happened, and all that type of stuff. All of that led into the heel. You know what I mean? Now, once again, student human athlete, so it's different than professional. But the way we view women's March Madness is this is the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Which is about to have 10 million people potentially watch last night's game. So I think we view her as a professional.
Yeah.
Right, and that's probably a little unfair, but she has been a perfect heel character.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Especially with how good she is. How much her teammates love her.
Down low,
Yeah, and shit talking.
Yes.
And they are, honestly, especially on the women's side, I'd probably say even more than the men's side right now, they are professionals because they got to stay in school for 4 years. So they're going to be in their early 20s by the time they leave. And Anthony Edwards is 22, 23 years old. He's been the face of a franchise for a few years now. So with the NIL deals and all the different things, they are pretty much professionals. But
Caitlin was every commercial last night?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I fast-forwarded through it because I had a DVR or whatever, but Caitlin was in every commercial last night, and she's an anomaly. We understand that, as is Angel Reese. She's an anomaly. We all understand that. But it's the business is booming around NCAA women's basketball.
We got Juju.
It's incredible.